In 1873, much of East Texas was unexplored grasslands. Terrell, Texas, east of Dallas, was just getting its political feet wet. In fact, most everything in Terrell was just getting started, including a new parish, St. John the Apostle Catholic Church. Few records exist, but when St. John's was established, it was part of the Diocese of Galveston under the jurisdiction of Bishop Dubuis. The little church owes its origin to families of workers who came to Terrell with the Texas Pacific Railway.
Of course, I do know all the families that helped organize St. John, the Maloneys and the Vaughns and the Collinses, Landemeyers and the Darce and the Adamses and the Sullins and the Dennehy's, and I knew all those families. My grandmother, Lizzie Walker, had told me that she and her husband made their first communion in St. John. And they were confirmed in St. John, and they were married in St. John, and they were buried from St. John.
Terrell was organized in 1873, and the church was dedicated in 1876.
One of the only known records of the establishment of the parish is found in the diary of a traveling Baptist missionary, Reverend J.B. Daniels. It contains an entry describing how the weather and traveling conditions forced him to stay in the Terrell area. He wrote that there was not even standing room in the house for the dedication ceremony. Father Joseph Martinaire was the first pastor. He and his brother, Father Claude Martinaire, attended the church in its earliest years. Father Joseph built a small wooden church on North Francis Street. Although the interior was a simple design, the altar was ornate with many spires.
Of course, the old church, we just had old hardened kneelers, and the floor was bare, and Father McCallum put a foam rubber on the kneelers, so it was a little more comfortable. And then later on, when Father Sullivan was here, he put cushions on the seats over there. It's much more comfortable now to go. And of course, then we didn't have air conditioning or anything. And we had stoves in the old church to keep it warm.
During the years that followed, many changes were made in the physical appearance of the church. The rear balcony was enlarged to accommodate people attending Sunday Mass, and in 1945 an outside grotto was erected by Father John McCallum. In 1949 he also remodeled the exterior of the church using stucco and landscaping with ivy. The interior windows were trimmed with stunning redwood, giving the church a completely different appearance. When Father D.J. Sullivan arrived, he too had ideas for renovation, and in 1970 he removed the redwood and simplified the exterior design. Several years earlier, the ornate altar was replaced by a simple one facing the people as part of the reforms after Vatican II.
The old altar has been removed, and we just have, when in the year they changed the position of the altar, it was removed and the new altar put in, so it doesn't look like the old altar at all. But the main thing about the church that is different, beautiful windows. And the windows were all donated by some of the old parishioners, some of the old-timers. And they are quite beautiful.
One of those windows over in the church with the Walker's name on that was on my mother's side. That window was donated by my great-grandfather and grandmother, Andrew Walker and his wife.
Many priests served St. John's during its 109-year history. These are only a few of the names. Currently, the pastor is Father Raymond Scott, who came to the parish in 1983. His outgoing attitude and friendly manner has already impressed the people. Rossie Sullins, the church historian, has contributed many hours documenting the history of the parish. In 1972, an historic marker was placed in front of the church, honoring it as the oldest church site in Terrell.
My family came here about 1896, or a little before then, because that's when I was born. I was born within this parish. We were in Rockwall County, but that was just about 8 miles from Terrell. And Father Baumgartner was here then. He baptized me.
Father Sullivan was very committed to community spirit and the need for bringing families together. In 1970, the parish hall was constructed under his direction. It is still used today for social gatherings and religious education classes. With the growth in commitment came a growth in the number of families attending the small church. So in 1981, the new St. John's was dedicated in a lavish ceremony. The new church, located just across the street from the original church building, seats 350 persons. The interior is contemporary with amber glass windows, beautifully carved statues of Mary and St. Joseph. Both statues, as well as the statue of St. John and the exterior of the building, were carved by Ludwig Kieniger of Dallas. At the rear of the church are 4 200-year-old paintings from Germany depicting the 4 gospel writers. Many new families continued to move to Terrell. The parish has now grown to over 250 families. But in the midst of all this change, there's good news for the little church across the street. Thanks to a generous parishioner, a trust fund has been set up for its continued maintenance and possible future restoration.